We got 2 van from the U.S. And we felt that it was right to do a little bit more to kind of give back, because we knew the struggle was just the transportation wise.
Yeah.
So now with 30 plus kids, I mean 30 kids cannot fit in one van, and that's the struggle that was going through before, making 2 trips sometimes. So now we have, like 15-seater van, 2 of them.
So now y'all have a total of 3 vans or 2?
No, we have a total of 3 vans
so
now.
You had 1 van.
Absolutely.
On this trip, you took 2 vans with you. So now your academy has 3 vans.
3 vans.
And academies in Liberia, they usually have how many vans?
Man, I don't even think academy have any vans in Liberia.
I don't even think some of the pro teams have vans in Liberia. Right? And you got the academy with 3 vans.
Africa Abroad.
What's going on, world? It's your boy Cordo back with another episode of Africa Abroad. I say another episode, but this is actually the first one, even if it's not the first one that you're seeing. I don't know when I'm going to put this out. But with this being my first interview, it's an honor for me to have here today my brother, my friend, a husband, a father. Hold on, let me get a guy some ear horns. A husband, a father,
hey, man, you crazy.
An actor, a philanthropist, former college soccer player. What else can I say? Oh, okay. I said philanthropist. So the real reason why we talking is CEO, founder, president. What other titles you want to put of NationOne Academy, the first soccer boarding academy in the country of Liberia. I got mad air horns for that. He's here. He's my guest. He's my brother. He's my confidant. He's my business partner. He is my role model. Octawie Yah, how you feeling today, man?
Cold, man. You far too kind with those words, man. Thank you so much for having me, brother. It's an honor to be here with you, man, sharing this stage with you. But not just this stage. I'm thinking about acting already, but sharing this platform with you. I said, man, we is more than just friend, it's brother.
Yep.
We've been rocking with each other for like 5-6 years, man. So I it's an honor to see you grow and see you do different things and just involving it with the massive love what you're doing with Susu as well, man. It's an honor.
Yeah, man. You always
here today, man.
You always pushing me to do more and ask me what I'm working on. So this is what I'm working on right here. I brought Octawie here today. I didn't really tell him what was going on. I was just like, yo, I want to interview you. And he was like, yeah, man, it's whatever. It's for Susu is love. So I kind of brought him here, and I just kind of want the world to know more about your story and about the journey and just your life, what you've been through to get you to the point to where you would want to start something like NationOne Academy, and now it's just so amazing and the level that it's at. And then I got to hear about the recent updates of NationOne, because you were just in Liberia literally like a week or 2 ago.
Yes, sir.
And we haven't chatted about it. I haven't talked to you in like 2 months. You text me, you was like, yo, it's going down in Liberia. Things are on the up and up, man. I'm gonna tell you about it. So I was like, oh, I got to get him on the podcast so he can tell me live and direct. So first, for us to get started, where were you born?
Man, I was born in Liberia.
Okay, where in Liberia?
I was born in Cocoa Factory. That's in the Peensville area.
Okay.
Of Liberia.
Okay, I know where that factory is. I've driven past it a couple times.
Yeah, man. I was born and raised there.
Okay, so you were born in '88, I believe, right?
Yeah. We trying to age, you know what I mean? We trying to
I'll take that out. Don't worry. But you were born. But you were around my crowd. We the same.
Yeah, absolutely. No.
So what was life like? I know you don't remember, age, I'm newborn in 2, but some of your earliest memories, what was life like for you in Monrovia?
Man, it was different.
Okay.
It was different. In so many ways, I believe it was different. you know, I obviously being born in Liberia, you know, back in the 80s where you know things was, you know, up and under as it relates to just the war and just the the facet of how we perceive Liberia to look like. I mean, after I was, I mean, I was born the year I was born. 2 years after that, that's the first war I've ever experienced. Which was the 1990 war.
Yeah.
And
do you remember that?
Oh, absolutely, man. It's crazy, man. You know, and I absolutely remember that. Remember flashes of those critical time.
Because you're like 2 years old at this time.
2 years old, yeah.
But like, there's a war going on, you know. So like, you didn't get to do the normal kid things of like, oh, I'm playing outside or I'm going to school because it's like everything kind of shut down for the war, right?
Absolutely, man. You know, I remember like, you know, I was actually in school. When we hear a gunshot, and it's so crazy. And now, I'm so paranoid as it relates to gun sound.
Yeah.
Right now, and as old as I am now, it's just I feel it brings a reflection back to back in the 90s and what was going on in Liberia.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, you know, I was in school. My mom drove to my school and got me from there. I was in a nursery.
So you were in school, and then the war broke out while you were in school, and your mom was like, "Nah, I gotta go get my kid right now."
And now, because I wasn't far away, because where I was at, I wasn't far away from our home, Liberia, because you know my mom, she didn't send me too far. She sent me close by that she had very easy access or what have you to me. So when I started broke out, man, my mom got in the car, picked me up from school, and just thinking about what the hell to do next.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for my expression, but I mean, it was it was that crazy, man. You know, I remember like it was yesterday, and you know, and a lot happened, I believe, and you know, as I said, I'm still paranoid from a lot of things that have happened, you know, during the early 90s.
So were you an only child?
No, man, I'm the youngest of 10.
Youngest of 10.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, man. My mom, we had a very large family.
Okay.
You know, just being the youngest, man, learn a whole lot from them as far as just, you know, knowing what you want, sacrifice, and just a whole lot how to be a better person. So I've learned so much from my siblings.
Okay.
You know, through my journey, and you know, up to this time, I still learn from them as well.
Were all of them like at home with you when you were growing up, or some of them were older and had
like
gone
some
now?
Some of them were much older.
Okay.
They had their own homes and jobs and businesses and things like that in Liberia. You know, before the war, what have you. So you know, they were all in the perspective area, what have you. But then you know, like in Africa is so family oriented.
Yeah.
So it's like everyone live close by.
For sure.
You know,
even if I'm not in the same house, I'm in the same community.
Exactly. And you know, here in the US though, it's like your cousin, not your cousin, your aunt can live in another state, your mom live in another state, your brother live in another state. But Liberia it was just so organic. You know, everyone lived together and was just embraceful of each other and supportive of each other as well.
So the war starts in 1990. You're 2 years old.
2 years old.
When did you come to America?
I came to America when I was 13.
So
14 years
hold
old.
on, wait. So the war started when you were 2. You came to America when you were 13.
Yeah.
So for 9 years, you were a child living in a war.
In a war, absolutely. Because I know it was 1990. It was 1996, if I'm not mistaken. I came here 1999, almost close to 2000.
So at some point, did the war just become normal for you? It was like normal life. Like, okay, I'm gonna go and live my life, but I have to be on guard because bullets could be going on here or a bomb could be going off here. What's that like for a child to be growing up and you don't get to have the security of, you know, the things that I was born here, you know, I hear the war stories because of my parents, but like a lot of this stuff here, you take for granted because it just seems like normal. And it's like, I'm sitting here with you and it's like, nah, I wish I had some of that stuff when I was a kid.
Man,
you know?
it's just something that I believe no child wants to go through.
For sure.
You know, I missed almost a year and a half of schooling, because it was a war and we had to relocate. So during 1990, though, my parents relocated to Guinea, which happened to be our neighboring country. And after that, though, we came back to Liberia, but then school really wasn't stable because.
Why did y'all come back? Do you know?
I mean, Liberia was our home.
Yeah.
And my mom, she had everything in Liberia, so we couldn't just go into exile and just stay there or what have you. So, I mean, 3 months after when she believed things had settled, we moved back to Liberia, and because we was in school, we lived in Liberia as well. So I mean, that was the only thing to do.
Yeah.
At that moment.
So I'm assuming as a kid growing up in Liberia, you did things. You go outside and play, even though there's a war going on. Did you still get to go out and play and stuff, or your parents kind of kept a tight leash on you?
I mean, at a certain point, though, at a certain point, because the first war in the 1990 war, when that's the first war I've ever experienced. Prior to that, though, we was outside and playing, what have you. Even when we came back from Guinea, from Guinea to Liberia, 91, 92, we was still going outside, doing different things, and, still playing, but we know in the back of our mind, anything could happen anytime.
Yeah.
So, we just had to be close. But, just from the war, man, it ruined my childhood.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? And, a lot of things that, that I never had a chance to do because of the war, and it's unfortunately, it's just how it was for us, growing up in Liberia.
So were you playing football at this time when you were a child in Liberia?
Oh yeah, I mean, football is like, I know we call it soccer, right? But football is something that that is our primary sport in Liberia. So at every age, 3 years old, 4 years old, we outside playing.
Yeah.
For hours, man, just hours, with our bare feet. I never had an opportunity when I was in Liberia to ever play in no soccer cleats.
Oh, for sure. Barefoot ballers.
Never. Oh my God.
I'm gonna have to get a drop for barefoot ballers, because I feel like that's gonna be a recurring theme on this show.
Yo, you guys might have seen me on one of those kids playing with the bare feet.
Yeah,
bro, that's all we did in Liberia back then. I mean, when I came here back in 2000, 1990, 1999 to 2000, when I came here. That's the first time I've ever put on soccer cleats.
Yeah.
We was playing with our bare games, practices, bare feet with socks on our feet. And we was there, man, because there was so much gratitude for the game, and we loved playing soccer. And I love playing soccer. That's my, therapy, I guess.
Were you a standout in Liberia, or was it like everybody was really good, or was it like, little Peking, my Peking Octawie, man, he can really play.
Man, I remember when I was growing up in Liberia, man, and it was crazy because, man, and remind me whenever we go back to Liberia, I had to take you to where I was born, like the field where we used to come from the fence, come down and go to the soccer field. I used to be a goalkeeper, man, when I started playing soccer. Yeah.
Okay,
they used to use me in a goal post when I was younger. But when I left Liberia and came to the States, though, I transitioned from playing goalkeeper to, playing the forward and what have you. But man, in my whole entire life in Liberia, man, I was a goalkeeper, and I was playing in as well occasionally. Yeah. But goalkeeper it was fun. I used to love jumping up and doing crazy stuff.
Yeah,
man.
You still playing, man. It's still for the love of the game.
It's so fun.
So you came to America when you were 13. How did that happen? Because I know it's tough. My parents always tried to get, relatives to come here, and there was always issues with the visa. And even my mom adopted my two cousins, who are now my little sisters. It took them 10 years, for two little girls. What type of immigration issues should they run into, but it took forever to get them over here. So how did you come over here, and who all came with your family to America?
I remember it like it was yesterday. So after the war, after the 1990 war, and then it was 1996, if I'm not mistaken, that war was crazy. It was terrible as well. So 1999, it was an opportunity that came up. I was part of a youth group called Voice of the Future.
Okay.
And I remember we was invited to Hawaii for a youth conference. So I actually represented like not just along with a lot of smart and incredible Liberians. We represented Liberia in Hawaii for the youth conference.
Okay.
Back in 1999. When I first came here, and we left from Liberia straight, stops. Obviously, had stopped different places or what have you, and then from California to Hawaii, we was there for like a couple of weeks, and then we left Hawaii, and on our way back, I had I had my, my dad. I was here, or what have you. My older brother, he's like my dad. He was here, picked me up from the airport here, and and I was here.
Yeah.
And I was here.
So your older brother was here. When did he get here?
He got prior to
before the war, probably in like the 80s or something.
No, that's probably like not even after the war, because I was, he got here like probably like after 1996, probably 97, 98,
okay.
98 if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you came to America after this conference and you're with your brother, where did you live?
So when I got picked up from the airport, we moved to he took me to Philadelphia.
Okay.
So I grew up in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
I went to middle school, high school, college. Well, I didn't do college in Philadelphia, but I did middle school and high school in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's what I was there for a very long time.
So you're 13?
Yeah, at 13.
13 years old in a whole new country.
It was just, for me, it was such an incredible moment for me, I believe, though, coming from Liberia, and why I had to experience the war and the gunshot, the death, and not just family people that I know got killed, but friends that I know, family, extended family got killed during the war as well. So to kind of escape that, though, and knowing that was in the back of my head, like, man, it was an opportunity to be here, man. And
so you were just excited to
100% excited, here. Man. Just different. It was so much different from what I have experienced throughout my years in Liberia.
So when you got here, did you start playing football right away? Like, how did you find that common piece of what brought you happiness in Liberia, and now you're in a foreign land and things are different and your family isn't here, but you found the connection with that same thing that you loved in Liberia? When did you start playing football in Philadelphia?
I think I was in 8th grade.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in middle school, when I found out that the school that I was playing, that I was going to, they had a soccer team.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at that time, I thought it was football team, because I was young, so I didn't know what was the difference between soccer and football. I knew that football is what we use with your feet, but when I found out, and I went for the tryout, and I wasn't as bad, so my coach got me in, and her name was Miss Pollock. Shout out to Miss Pollock. Miss Pollock, she took me in like her own, started playing soccer. She loved me, man, on the pitch and just on and off the pitch. She was very, inspiration. She was an inspiration to me as well. And, so she really pushed me, encouraged me to continue playing soccer.
Okay. Were you say you weren't that bad, but were you good? Were you a star player? You were a middle of the way player?
I was like the star player on the team.
Yeah.
From high school up to middle school. Once I left Liberia and came here and started going to school, I was a star player on my school team, and I worked my way up until I moved out to college or what have you. But it was like, I wasn't that bad. I was good enough to be on the team, right?
You didn't play goalie, did you?
No, man. Let me tell you a funny story. I remember when I was I think it was in 8th grade. Middle school is 8th, from 7th to 8th grade.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I was in 7th grade, 8th grade. I started off being a goalie, and I remember one game was a playoff game. I started in a goal pole, and then I think they scored like 2 on me, like just 2 goals instantaneously, right?
Yeah.
And my coach, Miss Pollock, made a substitution, took me from the goal pole, put me in, got me a jersey. Mm-hmm. I didn't play number 9. We ended up winning that game 4-2. and I scored like 4 goals, man. So from that day, I never went back in the goalpost at all.
Yeah.
So I mean, from that day on, she been using me, as a number 9, as a forward playing soccer. So yeah, I still remember that story, man. That's an incredible story. We was actually losing that game, man. She said, Octawie, you gotta come out. You gotta come out, Octawie.
She knew you had the skills in you. Like, we're not about to waste this guy's talent.
Yeah,
in the
because
no
but I told her I was goalkeeper. I was goalie in Liberia. I told her that though, and she was like, "No, Octawie." And then after she saw me playing around with some of my friends, she substituted me. I came out. She got me a jersey, went in, and from that day on, I started playing forward.
Yeah. So you were a forward all through high school, all in college.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So competition wise, did you notice a difference in the talent level in Liberia versus when you were in Philly?
I think when I was in Liberia, it was totally different because Liberia though, it was we knew the legitimate player. We knew guys that were just great. Mm-hmm. And maybe most of the time, most of them wasn't in school, but they were just a great soccer player. So we recognized those guys. But even as I was growing up though, in Philadelphia though, like from my middle school to high school, like I was the man, and got a lot of trophies and things like that when I was in high school and in middle school. So I was recognized a whole lot for my achievement on the pitch. So, but in Liberia it was much more competitive though.
Yeah.
Because here at that point of my life though, you had to be in school to play soccer, right?
Yeah.
But in Africa, man, most of our guys and our friends wasn't even in school.
Yeah.
But we all practiced together, we all trained together, what have you. So, that was a uniqueness to their talent compared to, being in high school where, you're the best player in school and best player in the conference or whatsoever.
Okay. So you dominate middle school, you dominate in high school, and then you decide, I'm here in America, I'm here with all these opportunities, I should go to college. What colleges will pay me to come to school, or I can go to school for free if I play soccer. So you decided to continue playing in college. How was your experience deciding on what college to go to, and then your experience of playing soccer in college? Because it becomes more of a job once you hit the collegiate. I mean, it was a job high school, but it's definitely next level in the collegiate level. So just talk a little bit about.
I think and with what we're doing now in Liberia, I think growing up though here in the U.S. though, I wish I had mentors. Mm-hmm. I think mentors play a very important role in any individual's life.
Absolutely.
And I miss that. That's something that I wish I had, because that probably would have got me more focused in ways that would have benefited me in the long run. Listen, if you don't have a mentor, I tell you, today you need someone to look up to, or you need someone to empower you. And I think we all need that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, those individuals play a very pivotal role in our growth and just the way we think about just different scenarios. So, I never, I was focused. I was a good student in middle school, high school, and college. But, I never had a mentor to kind of say, Octawie, you know what? This is a great decision. This is how you do this. This is how you do that. You know what I'm saying? And so it was that difficult. But, but all in all, though, it was unique, though, knowing that I had the opportunity to go to college. And, coming from where I came from, I was born and raised in Liberia part of my life. And, I never envisioned going to college because there was so much war in Liberia at that point. So it was just too much, man. So I really didn't envision even finishing high school, because you just never know at that point. But I was blessed among so many people to get the opportunity to come here and further my education and just to be a better person.
Okay, so now that we talked about your background as a person, which I'm glad we got to talk about that, because me and you been together for years, and I honestly, like, I knew some of these things, just like I kind of knew them, but to hear you talk about them is like, all right, now I know Octawie for real, you know. So it kind of makes things make sense now for what you're doing now. So you went and played in college, you finished playing in college. How did NationOne come about? Because, you know, now you graduate, and now you're looking for the next step in life and the next phase in life. And I guess, you know, playing professionally wasn't in the cards, because it's not in the cards for most people. Absolutely, you know, I'm like, it's 0.2% of people. So, but you still had the passion for the game, and now you decide, speaking about mentors, you wanted to mentor kids that, you know, that you saw yourself in, because you, like you said, you wish you had it, and then you decided you wanted to be that for other people. So how did NationOne Academy start?
I was in college, and I remember I was working. I had a job, and I was working in one of the offices. I just
you were working on campus.
I was working on campus, and I had this epiphany about. I said, I mean, why can't I start something? So NationOne started off as a clothing line.
Okay.
So back in like 2010, I mean, I was in New York. I had, you know, I was, you know, doing my, you know, after I was staying in college, and, you know, in New York, it's like a fashion, you know, the fashion district, right? So it's like a lot of things happening as it relates to fashion. So I started NationOne clothing.
Okay.
In New York when I was in college. But then I remember my mom and I went back to Liberia 2013.
And when that was your first time
back
in
in Liberia? That was my first time back in Liberia since I left 1999.
So that was your first time back in 14 years.
Yes,
was
sir.
In 2013, you went with your mom, and then the war ended in
2004 or something. Yeah, because that's when 2003, 2004. That's when I think that was the last war they had in Liberia. The early 2000s.
Okay, so you went back for the first time in 14 years.
Yeah,
the war had been over for 10 years. What did you see when you got there?
Man, I don't know. It was so unique. When I first landed at the airport, I had tears in my eyes, and I've never ever felt like that before.
What was the feeling?
I was just so overwhelmed to be back home.
Yeah.
And it just, and you know, I had these incredible tears just drooling down my eyes, and out to myself, why am I crying? But it was the love that I have for my country, because I mean, I left when I was young, and just being back home, I started thinking about a lot of things that happened prior to me leaving Liberia. So just being back there, man, I was just overwhelmed with, I guess, tears, hurt, but also happiness. Just to be back home. And I don't know where that tears came from, but I felt like that. And from that moment on, it was just, everything that happened after that was just surreal moment. Just being back home, seeing some of my friends that I grew up with, and seeing some of the people, seeing some of the location, and I mean, where we used to play soccer. I walked everywhere for the first week, and I was there for a whole month. My mom and I. Yeah. And I walked everywhere, man. I mean, because it was just so much fun being back home. It's like, man, I felt like I've missed so much, you know, and it was just so much fun being back home. So we was walking everywhere. I was walking everywhere, man, going to soccer field, just moving around, just helping different people, but just being in a circle and helping people. That's always been something that I love to do from the beginning. So I just felt like being back home, though, it was something that I really felt that, man, I have to do more for my beloved country. I had to do something. By that moment, I didn't realize that I was going to start doing what we now know as NationOne Academy in Liberia. I just knew that I had a passion for doing something. But I just, at that point, I've not yet come to any realization of, okay, well, this is what I want to do.
Okay. So you go to Liberia with your mom for the first time in 14 years. You see some of your friends that you grew up with, see some family members. which is amazing because not only have I not seen you in 14 years, which, okay, that makes me excited, but it's also like, yo, you survived. That's great. Because it's not just like, oh, I haven't seen you in 14 years. It's like, there's been a war going on and I have already lost people, but you didn't, like, I didn't lose you. Thank God, you know? So you're there, and then all of these feelings, you know, just come over you where you feel the need to do more. So then you return home, I'm assuming. What was the thing that made you decide? Because like you said, you hadn't decided that it was going to be NationOne Academy. You just had the clothes at first, but you knew that there was something that you wanted to do to help your people, you know? So when did you make that decision that like, oh, I want to, you know, provide education for talented youth in Liberia?
I think when I first got to Liberia, when we got picked up from the airport, and we got that at midnight, got home, walked around the house, and for the first time I saw my brother. And you know, he's deaf. I lost my brother like last year, and I mean, it's, you know, and that's my mom's first son.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I started crying. You know, he was very special to me. My older brother, he was real special to me. The next day, he and I sat down and started writing, because that's the only way we communicate. You know, that's how I knew, because I didn't take any sign language or anything like that. So we used to communicate on just text, or, you know, he writes and I reply, or, you know, when I want to ask how you doing and things like that. So, you know, it was it's a real moment just to see him there. And then we walked around, talk, you know, writing, and he writes and I write and I reply, and he asked me a question, you know, but it was just like that, going back and forth. The next morning after that, my sister, I just started meeting up with some of my friends within the community, people that I grew up with. Some of them was still living at the same area, the same houses as well. So I met them. I was like, you know, I mean, let's go play soccer, what have you. So we started playing soccer. And then within my community, though, that I saw a bunch of kids playing soccer, but there was no one around them. It was just them playing by themselves. And I was like, wow, I mean, why are these kids just playing by themselves? But I mean, that's the uniqueness of soccer in Liberia. I feel like, you know, kids just play on their own without any coaches or without any upper individual to kind of empower, you know, guys kind of coach them. They were just playing on
mentors.
No mentor. They were just playing by themselves or what have you. But they embraced the game. They enjoyed playing soccer. So I stood there for about 25 minutes and I was just so marveled about them playing, and I'm like, wow, that's incredible. So I was like, you know what? I want to do something in Liberia. From that, when I saw them playing, I realized that I was trying to do something, and I was like, I mean, so why can't I just open open a soccer team? Close to my house, on the same field, soccer field that we used to play on. Let me just like form a team. And I formed a team that day. It took me a week to just start inviting different kids to come, and then we had a tournament, and then we picked the first 15 kids. So those first 15 kids was the first original NationOne Academy kids within my community where I was born and where I grew up at. That's the birth of NationOne in my community, in the Peensville area, in Coconut Factory, because that's where I'm from.
Bruh, I don't know if you know how spectacular it is that you had an idea. You saw something. You saw something that needed to be fixed. You had an idea, and you acted on that idea right in that moment. You feel me? And that's something that I have issues with, and I think most people have issue with. You have a great idea, and then you go back home and then you write it down and you come up with ideas and then you plan and you say, okay, I'm going to buy this. And then I set goals for the future. And then by March, I'm going to do this. And by December, I'm going to do this. And then 3 years pass and nothing has happened, you know? And then you just like, oh, but I got jobs now and I got bills now and I got babies now and I can't do that. But you you weren't seeking perfection. You weren't like, oh, this is going to be like one of the academies in Europe. Before I do anything, I got to make sure that we're playing on manicured grass and everybody has this and everybody has that. You were like, no, they don't even have the bare minimum right now. So I'm going to bring them the bare minimum right now. And to know that NationOne started from an idea that you had in the moment and you acted on it in the moment and put a team together, and to see where NationOne Academy is now, it's like most people would wait until the now. So, you know, after the years of development that you've put in, they think that that's the entry point. You look at other people's journeys and you think that's the entry point, and you don't realize, like, no, they built that up from the dirt. And I work with NationOne, and I didn't know that that's how you started NationOne. Bro, that's so amazing.
It is.
That you saw an issue and fixed the issue right there in the moment. So, and you always talk about the first NationOne kids. Shout out to the first NationOne kids. But I never really realized what that meant until now you're telling me this story, which is so spectacular. I got to give you more applause for that one, bro, because that's really amazing. So you start NationOne Academy in your community, and you put together a team. But you're only in Liberia for a month. So what happens? What's the next step? Like, you decide, all right, I got this thing rolling. I got to keep going. So what do you do then?
Well, so we assemble a team, just kids from in my community, and the same soccer field that when I was growing up in Liberia, my team and I used to play. That's the same field we was using in Liberia, hard gravel. Bears, some of the kids had sneakers, some of the kids was playing with the bare feet. That's the norm in at that time when I was growing up in Liberia. But even when I started NationOne Academy, though, I mean, not most of the kids, though, they had feet wear. But I mean, it was just, for them, it was fun just being a part of something, just being a part of a team. And I realized, and I met one of my childhood friends, so I asked him to just oversee the team, within my absences. And then he agreed. And then we add one more coach. So it's just two people now. So what I did was, that's 2013 now. At that time we've not thought about doing anything. It was just about just helping kids within my community. That was it. So I used to send soccer balls, just different things, soccer balls, bibs, soccer cleats and all that stuff.
And that's like gold in Liberia, because you sending balls, and I seen kids play soccer with grocery bags and all, get hundreds of grocery bags and tie string around it, and then bibs. Oh no, that's not even a thing. You just know who's on your team and who's not on your team. Ain't no bib. So you sending equipment is you sending gold. You already have a team that's above and beyond most other teams or other kids that they were seeing. So you continue. You came back and you're sending materials to Liberia for your team.
So I was sending a bunch of materials. Soccer balls, babes, soccer cleats, cones, all those little things, all those like nuances that we use for soccer on a daily basis. And things start getting better. And then things start picking up. But then we start getting bigger. And then obviously we start doing different activities, playing games, recording the games, and just having fun with the kids. And I remember when I returned back from Liberia, we still had, the kids, like every weekend we had practice on the weekends. In the weekdays, those kids was in school. So, and like whenever we play a game, my sister in Liberia used to invite all the boys, to our home, in the fence, and they would just cook for them. They would, they all get fed, and it was fun. It was fun. But at that point, I was thinking, okay, well, it's something that's small now. I mean, I know that we need a little bit more of leverage, way that we can help more people. Also, it was like it's like just who to trust now, because you're sending all those things in Liberia. But then I wasn't too sure if, all those things, that the right people was on board at that moment.
Yeah.
To kind of farther the dreams of I started realizing, okay, I gotta start taking this stuff serious. Now these kids look at me more than I look at myself as it relates to soccer, what they're doing in Liberia, but I have to start doing more to help them. So what can I do? So, I just kept, pondering on that for years, but they were still training.
Yeah.
They were still practicing, they were still playing games, but every weekend they would go to my parents' home, and then they would cook for them, and they ate. They were so excited. But, I was still trying to figure out what next. I mean, what am I going to do next? I mean, how this whole thing going to pan out, So I just, one of my childhood friends reached out to me and told me about a good friend of mine who turned to be my brother, and Milton Yoko very well now.
Yeah.
He
Shout out to Yoko.
Yeah, man, Yoko was good. So he reached out, and he said, man, I know this guy who really does things for kids, and he's a great organizer, and he's been doing tournaments for a long time. I think you guys should link up and just try and talk. And when I returned back after the Ebola, because we went there 2013. I think that Ebola was 2015 or 2014 or 2015, one of them. But then after Ebola 2016, I went there again, and that's where I met Yoko. But prior to me going, I was in communication with Yoko because a friend of mine, one of my childhood friends, gave me his contact, and we've been talking. And at that time, we've already established a concrete relationship, and just just telling him about the vision, telling him about NationOne, where we were in the Painesville area. But it's just like, okay, I need a different team. I need different people to kind of oversee the bigger plan, what have you. So that's how we kind of relocated from Painesville area now to ELWA location. That's when we had we have a huge tournament. I remember when I went there 2016, we had a huge tournament. And from that day, we just picked over 30 kids. And those kids was a second generation NationOne Academy kids, because it was just a bunch of kids, and we just started working on a consistent basis, just helping them, directing them, just talking to them, empowering them. This is way before I ever thought about, okay, man, this stuff is getting real serious now. I gotta figure out what to do next as far as it relates to, okay, so where am I going? I know I'm going to need some sort of help. So how's the help going to come, and what do I need to do to go in that route as far as getting help? But we just had it going, and I was working at a time. I'm still working now, by the way. So
of course.
I know it, right? So I was working, and then I was still sending funding to Liberia just to sponsor, pay the coaches, and we had 2 coaches I was working with along with us, but we have a lot of soccer balls, a lot of babes. I mean, they had a lot of everything for all those kids, and we was doing that for a few years.
Yeah. Okay. So NationOne, is rolling 2013 and 2016, and then you're just trying to figure out what the next level is. So at this point, it's just kind of like a community soccer team.
Yes.
It's just I got an organized group of kids to come and play, because that's something that they didn't have before. They just used to go and play on their own. Now it's like you have a coach, you have equipment, you have a gathering spot, you have food and stuff like that. So now it's become really organized.
Yes.
And I guess the basis of all the stuff you do is you identify a problem, or you identify something that's missing.
Correct.
And then you put it there.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing the next thing you identified is the education piece.
Absolutely.
Isn't really there, because it's all right, I got a team, but maybe but how am I bettering these kids' life? I bettered their life on the soccer field, but as we spoke before, it's not a given for everyone to go on. So then you decided, I need to bring in, the education piece.
Absolutely.
So, and that's become the pillar and the main part of NationOne now, which is a shining, part of what's going on in Liberia. So What were some of the first steps of you incorporating education into your community of kids playing soccer?
I think at that point, 2016, 2017, I had to figure. I had to do my due diligence on foundations. I had to do a lot of research, and I spent like months on doing research and just doing different research in how to maintain what I was doing at the time, and also what some of the pillars that I need to implement though. Because I mean, anyone can have a bunch of kids on a team and just go to practice every day or have coaches, but then what are we doing? You know, how are we empowering these kids?
Yep.
What are we instilling into these kids, right? Are they coming from a great home? Like, you know, like my goal was to get to know these kids individually and serve something that I felt like no one else were looking at that point. Like, okay, I have to empower them. I have to mentor them. I have to talk with them. I have to let them know that it's not just about soccer now. It's about education. So, I mean, I did a lot of due diligence on my end to kind of figure out, okay, different foundation around the world that is implying these steps and is working in other African countries. But it's something, I mean, I had to figure out what's going to work for NationOne Academy in Liberia. So I realized that mentoring, empowering them, we use soccer as the platform, but then the main thing that we emphasize so much on is the education. Because at a certain point in your life, though, if you go through an injury or, it's over for you. What next, right? But I think you realize that with the education, you can now say I'm having injury going to college or I have an injury with a degree. No, you can always use the degree to be incredible, to do incredible things, and to kind of distinguish yourself from everyone else. And I felt that I had to incorporate that because sometimes, though, that would encourage the kids to, listen, if you want to play soccer on the field, you got to do well in school.
Yep.
Soccer is what we love to play in Liberia. So it's like if you take away soccer from kids, I mean, it's going to be a disaster.
Yeah. And at that point, you got the best soccer going on because these kids, they're getting balls, they're getting bibs, they got cones, they got coaches. That's like I said earlier, that's like gold. So
Absolutely.
It's like, oh, I can't be a part of this if I don't go to school. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm going to school. I got to. But, so yeah.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. As you said though, right? And plus, when you incorporate soccer cleats too, oh man, these kids go nuts in Liberia. But if you get all those things on a team, that will encourage you to want to go to school because you can know that if I go to school, I can come back and I have my own soccer cleats. I can play soccer. I have a bibs. I have I have all these things. I have a soccer ball, and I can get trained. I want to go to school and learn.
That's a no-brainer.
I want to go to school and learn and come back after school and train. So we was doing that for a few years. And then we started incorporating education. And we started talking to more parents about what we try and do in Liberia as it relates to like the structure of what we trying to imply within NationOne and what we see, like just what we project to our parents and also because you have to approach the parent differently. You know what I'm saying? Like Africa is a little bit different, because a lot of people believe that growing up in Africa, soccer was, they used to say soccer is a Grenade ball sport, right? Yeah. It's a saying like
that's gangster.
It's a gangster sport, right? Yeah. It's like no, it's too Grenade, so and no one else can play.
You said earlier, you playing in the streets. Some of the best kids were the ones that didn't go to school. They just in the streets playing. Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of parents were like, no, you can't be in the streets with all the Grenade people. You gotta go to school. It was one or the other.
Yes.
And I think you coming in and you talking to parents, especially being in America where sports in school are so intertwined. It's like you're a student athlete. It's like you got to have good grades to play. I love that you incorporated that and took that with you to Liberia because then you're explaining like, no, this isn't just us playing. It's like you want your kids to get an education. I want them to get an education too, but you can do both. You don't have to pick one over the other,
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we had to we actually had to talk to each parent individually. Like it was like 30-something kids that we kind of recruited at that point, and I literally moved from house to house talking to parents. This is what we're trying to do. You know, make them understand that when you have your son is coming for practice, he's coming to train with us. He's coming to get coached. He's coming to get empowered. You know, he's gonna come get a soccer cleats, and he's gonna go back home. And these are some of the things that we were kind of implying to the parents, you know, and have the trust, you know, and we felt like it would have been much more organic if we could have the trust of the parents, because at the end of the day, though, they have the leverage to allow their kids to go for practice or not, you know. But when we kind of imply it's more of an educational thing, though, they saw a little bit of logic in that, and they felt that, okay, well, I have to, if he goes to school and he does well, I'm going to reward him with playing soccer. And the kids then knew that, man, wherever I go, if I can get a jersey, if I can get a soccer cleats, man, I will be the happiest person ever. And I mean, as I said earlier, you know, my entire life in Africa, I know wore soccer cleats.
Yeah.
When I got to the U.S., that's when I started figuring out what soccer cleats was, and how to wear it, and you know, stop playing. I know you put on your feet, you know, you wear it on your feet, but then, you know, we never had an opportunity to get some of those things in Liberia. So, I mean, getting those things now for these kids, they are excited. They want to play soccer, and they're much more energized and motivated to play football. So, yeah. I mean, that was easy for me.
So, let's go back a little bit. So, you start a team in your community.
Mm-hmm.
The team is growing. You're back in America. You're sending equipment to these kids that are now have equipment and are getting trained and just playing. Then you decide to incorporate education and facilitate their education and mentorship in this group of kids that you've taken responsibility over. Mm-hmm. This show is called Africa Abroad.
Africa Abroad.
Because we like to highlight the players that left Africa and have gotten opportunities in other places in the world, and that usually happens for pro players. But mm-hmm. Because you work with kids, you have a couple of kids that have gotten opportunities to continue their education mm-hmm. outside of Liberia, and not only in America, but in some of the best schools in America.
Yeah.
So now I want to shift and talk about who was the first NationOne Academy kid that got an opportunity abroad, and how did that happen?
So, prior to us getting our first kid, so we kind of realized at a certain point that we were trying to have our kids at a location, and so we decided as a team to rent a compound, because at that time, you know, we didn't have any land to start our process of building something. So we kind of like release a compound for, like, you know, for a few years, and we have our kids staying in this compound. And our first kid, I remember, you know, the kid having a very incredible story. But we met him playing. He was one of the kids that got recruited.
Okay.
And, you know, we did our due diligence on this kid as well. We knew the school he went to. We knew his parents. We knew his abilities, not on the pitch, but also in school. Because, you know, giving kids the opportunity through our pathway program, though, you know, is not just soccer. It's 100% education, because, you know, you cannot, as being a student athlete here in the U.S., you know, that entails a lot. Having the responsibility of just being responsible on your own to know what needs to be done. And mind you, these kids are going to junior boarding school.
Yeah.
You know, it's a little bit difficult. You know, there's a shift and change in culture, and also, you know, leaving your family, what have you. So our first kid that left from Liberia, his name was Milton Jones.
Shout out to Milton. What's up?
Milton. So Milton was the first kid. Milton was the first kid, though, that left through our pathway program.
Okay. So talk about Milton. Where did you find Milton from, and how did he get down with NationOne, and then how was he the first one to leave when you've had 30-something kids, and what did you see in him for him to move forward with this opportunity, and where is he at now?
Yeah, so I mean, Milton, his kids is very incredible. He has a very incredible story. A lot of what has happened, throughout his career as well. Not in career, his life.
How old is Milton?
Milton right now he's 15.
Okay.
When Milton arrived in the U.S., I think he was 13 years old. He was 12 going to 13. And he was in 7th grade. We recruited Milton in the ELW area, in one of the slums. At that time he was far away from. He was living in Kingred. He wasn't living in Kingred. I think his parents had just moved from Kingred to another location, what have you. But yeah. So when we got him, he wasn't living in Kingred. Later on, his parents moved back to Kingred. But when we got him, we sat down with his mom, talked to his mom, stand up with his father, talk to his father, and they are great individual. Like Mr. Jones he's such an incredible man, and his mother passed away as well, and while he was here, and that was my mom too. She was a very strong and firm mother. Really kind of
I met her once.
Yeah, really put her down Milton. But she loved Milton. I think, and she was his number one supporter. Mm-hmm. I mean, she used to go to some of his games when he was young, and as the story goes, like fight people who because Milton was young when he was doing some of the things he was doing, and he was playing against people that was older than him. Mm-hmm. So his mom used to go in the field and kind of, if you foul him, her son, you foul him too hard, she would get on the field and kind of fight you, man. Listen, calm down. He's a little kid, but he was an incredible kid. Mm-hmm. So he was the first kid that came from our academy. We could have Milton, had to mentor him, had to make sure that, it was the right thing for us to send Milton being our first kid. So he was in our home, where we mentor him, preparing him to come to U.S. And then he was the first kid though that left Liberia through our pathway program.
And then where did he go when he got here?
So when he left Liberia, he went to Faith School. That's in Boston. Faith School is one of the incredible gym boarding school. Top-notch education. They really, really prepare these kids for college, man.
How did you get connected with Faith School for Milton to go to Faith School?
So at that time, I had one of my mentors, Chris Gandhi. He's someone that I confide within, and he's been very instrumental as relates to boarding school, because doing this in Liberia, trying to do my homework on what do we need to do, mm-hmm. and how can we come up with these ideas of bringing these kids here. I reached out to him, and he's Liberian, playing the MLS for a very long time, playing Europe for a very long time. So we realized that when they saw Milton highlight, everyone was shocked to see this type of kid doing what he was doing in Liberia without any training or anything like that, without any great coach trying to empower him. This is what you do. This is how you move. And, he was just a gift, at his age in Liberia. So, we all fought for it. And they, that's the first kid that came. So it was difficult at that moment for people to kind of realize, young men like myself, trying to bring kids from Liberia. And by the way, at that time, and not even at that time, since now, NationOne is the first foundation in Liberia that have ever given Liberian kids, multiple Liberian kids, opportunity to come here to study abroad. There has been no academy in Liberia that have we give almost 8 kids opportunity, boarding kids opportunity to come here and study. There's no academy in Liberia that have done that. So that is something that is such an incredible thing, because we invest a lot more in our kids and just giving them the opportunity. Like, you don't have to come from South Africa. You don't have to come from Nigeria. You don't have to come from Liberia. Come to Liberia. We have kids who are capable, though, of being great. All they need is just the opportunity.
And it's true, because, people sleep on Liberia.
Yeah.
And all these kids need is the opportunity, because Milton got here, and what has Milton been doing since then? Milton was at Faith School and was student ambassador for diversity, and all the teachers love him. And I'm not even talking about what he did on the field, because he's won a national championship. Yeah, playing
best
club
U15
soccer,
play in the country,
best U15 in the country. Like, he came through and dominated, and it wasn't easy for him, but he was resilient.
Absolutely.
And he wanted to work hard, and he had been through so much beforehand, where I spoke about, like I said, I grew up here, I took stuff for granted. Milton's not coming here taking anything for granted, because he knows what life is like without it. And he knows that he has to do the right thing to stay in this life with it. So he's just taking that and going to the next level. He was at Faith School, that's a junior boarding school. So now he's in the 9th grade.
Yeah, he's in the 9th grade right now. So after Faith School, he was there for 3 years. Got another scholarship to a secondary school. Now, secondary school is from 9th to 12th grade. So it's like it's another boarding school as well. And I remember when he was coming from school, he had so much opportunity to go to any boarding school he wanted.
Yeah. What school did he choose?
Man, he chose Berkshire School.
Okay.
Powerhouse for soccer, great education as well, great people over there as well. They're incredible school.
Yeah.
But he chose Berkshire because he felt like it was somewhat close to Faye, because he's been in that community for such a long time, and he felt, he had the opportunity to excel and be the best person he could be. Keep talking. And we felt that was something, though, that would have helped in the long run. So, being at Faye, we felt out. Moving from Faye to Berkshire, we felt that it was something that would help him in the long run, as far as what he was trying to accomplish as a young kid from Africa.
Okay, so Milton was the first.
Yeah.
So, but a lot more have come after Milton, and I guess Milton was kind of like the trailblazer, because he led the way, and he went to Faith School and he did his thing, and now you can show, like, hey, we got one kid here, and he's amazing in the community. He's everyone's friends. He's nice to everybody. He's getting good grades, and he's accomplishing things on the field. So people are like, oh, okay, so we'll give you more chances. We got more opportunities, and not just at Faith School, but you have partnerships with other boarding schools and academies around here. So who else did you get over here?
I think, after that, though, after Milton, when he came in, he did such an incredible job, being a young man, leading his family from Liberia, and then just being in the U.S., that is a culture shock right there on its own. And, coming for just school and soccer-wise, though, I'm very much thankful for, the community at Faith School, for the opportunity that they believed in our foundation. They believed that, that this kid was deserving of the opportunity. And for me, I knew that once the first chance is given, it was going to be a lot more. Yeah. Because we understand, we kind of prepare our kids for these opportunities. When you come here, stay focused, learn, be the best person you can possibly be. Be great, be good to people. Stay focused, know why you are here. One thing I've learned in life is, if you, the way to move forward is knowing where you're from. Because I realize sometimes, if you don't know where you're from, as you move forward, though, you will settle for whatever. But if you know where you're from, sometimes, though, that kind of keep you in alignment with your goal, with your vision. So we teach them all these things in Liberia, that stay focused, because with the level of poverty in Liberia, though, most of these kids are not coming from a incredible home. Yeah. they are coming from, their families and communities is under privileged kids.
Yeah, and it's easy, especially speaking to that. It would be easy for them to think that they made it by just coming to America. Yeah. So, you're 14 years old and now you're in America, and you're in these communities in the Northeast where the wealth level is high. So you've got friends whose parents have Lamborghinis and friends got a 60-inch TV in their room. You think you've made it because you didn't have this in Liberia. So for people who've been in America, our goal is to get success when you're an adult and have your own money. For them, it's like, no, I made it out of poverty. I eat 5 times a day, which I used to only eat once a day or maybe once every other day. Yeah. I'm eating whatever I want. I can go wherever I want. It would be so easy for them to feel like they've made it. And the truth is, you haven't accomplished anything yet because you're still a kid. You're still in high school. There's still work to be done. And you haven't set up enough of a foundation to say that this all can't be taken away from you, because it can be. Yeah. So it's great to hear you talk about the training and the teaching that you give these kids and mentor them in Liberia to say, hey, even when you get this opportunity in wherever you go to get this opportunity, that's not the end of it. You still have to get there and perform. And you think it's sweet, but it's not going to be easy. You have to work hard to keep it, because it can all be taken away. Yeah. So it's great to hear that that's, really what y'all are out there preaching to these kids.
And it's important too, though, because from the life most of these kids have, though, and from where they're coming from, though, it's difficult to even eat 2 times a day. Yeah. You've seen it. We've been in places where, these kids probably eat 1 time a day, if even eating, you know. But I think, and one thing that we always try to tell them in Liberia is that, with opportunity comes a lot of pressure, but with opportunity comes an ability to be a good person. You can change your life. So we prepare them that coming here getting education. Well, you're not just going to a public school; you're going to a private school. Mm-hmm. There's a distinguish within education, within the educational sector. Private school education, at most of these boarding school is very high, and they really, really prepare these kids for college. Mm-hmm. These boarding schools. There's some other public schools in different areas, in different community in the U.S. that I'm pretty sure that has a great uplift and have a great educational system. But the boarding school, man, they really prepare these kids for and Faith School. I mean, it's one of the prestigious boarding school in the country. Yeah. So they was pretty good.
So I want to just shout out all of the NationOne kids that are a part of the Pathway program that have made it, from Liberia and are doing different things in America. I want you to just list out their names and where they're at, and we're just going to shout them out real quick, and then we're going to keep moving forward. So just go ahead. So start with Milton.
So we have Milton Jones right now at Brookshire School.
Yep, shout out to Milton.
We have Amos Dibba at Blair Academy up in New Jersey.
Famous Amos, what's good?
Yeah, we have a Alfred Deba, who he goes to Eagle Brook School up in Massachusetts right now.
Hey, Alfred, what's up, man?
We have Lawrence Taylor, who is in Westminster School.
Pass up, what's good? Pass up, ball pass up.
Great kid. We have Hamza Kroman, who's also right now in IMS.
Hamza, what's good? That's my guy. Yeah, you know that's my guy.
Oh, that's your guy. Hamza is your guy, man. We have Cyrus and Julia's.
Okay.
Cyrus, who's doing great things right now. In college, he's doing extremely well. Where he is.
Where's Cyrus at?
Lindsey Wilson right now.
Lindsey Wilson College. Shout out to Cyrus.
We have Julius Williams. who is doing extremely well.
Julius is balling, bruh.
And I watched it.
He got Player of the Week last week, and then this week he had a hat trick. I was like, bro, you got Player of the Week last week off of 1 goal. What they gonna do this week? You had a hat trick,
man. I actually watched the game too, man. He played exceptionally well.
Where's Julius at?
Julia goes to I'm not too sure his school by.
It's like
I forgot the name of it.
LSU something. Louisiana State something.
Yeah, Louisiana State something.
We'll figure it out. But shout out to Julius.
Julius, he's a great guy. Very smart guy as well.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it for right now. We have more kids coming this year as well, but no, that's the secret. We don't want to say much about it.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that.
But we have like 3 more Arsenal coming.
Okay. So that kind of leads me to my next segment. You know, we talked about your life and your journey to get to where you at now. We talked about the great things that you're doing with NationOne now, but 2020 was a tough year for everyone, for the whole world. You know, COVID hit and everything kind of just got frozen. We couldn't really move like that. So you didn't really go to Liberia as much as you normally do. But like I said earlier, you just got back from Liberia literally like a week or 2 ago. Yeah. We were texting when you got back, and you said, man, things are going great. Yeah. It's running like a well-oiled machine, and that's one thing that we always talked about is just getting the machine running and going. Yes, sir. Now I need you to act like there's no cameras here. I need you to act like there's no mic here. This is me and you talking. Tell me about your trip and what went down. I mean, and if it's some exclusive stuff that we can't share, I'll cut it out. I'll cut it out later. Don't worry. But just I want to hear about this most recent trip to Liberia and what happened and what you did.
But first of all, obviously, it's unfortunate, this whole COVID, man. You know, a lot of people lost their lives here as well in the U.S. And, you know, it's always difficult, though. When COVID hit last year, 2020, I've actually planned on going to Liberia it was in February, March, or what have you, when we start figuring out things wasn't going to happen. So, I mean, the last time I was in Liberia prior to me going to Liberia this 2021, it was September of 2019. When I came back from Liberia, you know, I was knowing that everything was on course, things were getting done. You know, when COVID hit, I mean, no one wasn't even traveling. Yeah, and it was that difficult.
They shut down. They wasn't even letting people in for a second.
And even like one of our kids, Alfred, came last year in September of 2020. Was it 2020?
Yeah.
It came September of 2020.
Yeah. And because it was during COVID, and that was difficult. Yeah.
And I mean, it was a stressful case for us, because
the fact that you even got a kid here during COVID, and schools at this point didn't even know if they were going to be open for that was, you know, COVID was all through spring semester. Yes. Now it's about to be fall, new school year. You would think that they like, nah, we not really accepting no kids because, you know, COVID and digital learning and stuff. But for NationOne to still like, oh nah, we still got an opportunity for this kid in the middle of a global pandemic. That's crazy. But yeah, so Alfred came.
Alfred came and I mean, it was difficult because, you know, like obviously the embassy in Liberia wasn't ready, like allowing anyone to travel out of the country. Yeah. It doesn't matter who you were at that point. But you know, we spoke to school. We spoke. You know, we got back and forth with the embassy or what have you, and later on they start allowing people, not just our kid, but the few people that left from Liberia. Our kid was included within that numbers. You know, that opportunity was always there, and we just believed that, you know, it was the right time, and the school kept that opportunity for Alfred, and Alfred is such an incredible young man as well. His story is incredible, and good thing about Alfred, man, this kid is so smart, man. His first year here, all A's. I mean, how is it possible?
All A's at a boarding school.
All A's at a boarding school.
At a private boarding school in Northeast United States,
where things supposed to be difficult.
Where the best education in the country, number one state for education. He goes from a third world country, one of the poorest countries in the world, and most of these kids that come, it takes them a semester or two. Like, I'm gonna get it together eventually. Which, you know, like we said, Milton and Hobbs, they got it together. Absolutely. And they rolling now. But first semester, and you making straight A's.
and that's how from that I knew that his skills. He's determined. He's focused. And he know where he's from. Like it always goes back to knowing where you're from, because knowing you're from will give you a platform where you're going. And he knows that. And I was so shocked. I wasn't shocked because of the job that we do in Liberia as far as preparing them. But usually though, not everyone. Alfred is the first kid that ever came to the U.S. and had an all A's during the fall semester. That is just that you can't compromise that.
Yeah.
So he's a very, very smart young man. Alfred, he's doing extremely well in school, and and he's in 8th grade. Have so much opportunity as far as secondary schools, and I mean he's like an Ivy League school brain.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, but he's such a great kid.
Yeah. All right, so you just went to Liberia. Let's talk about
Liberia. Yes. Liberia trip was it was incredible. It's always refreshing going back home, because I feel like when you do go back home, it keep you in alignment of, okay, don't lose focus, or don't lose focus of the purpose of which you are here.
Yeah.
And when I go back home, I always realize that, listen, man, I have to stay focused, because now we have our own we have our own facility, our own compound where this kid lives, transportation to practice. So we have almost like 12 or 13 people working at the facility, coaches, drivers, culinary instructors, people just to teach them. Also, we have a cook that works as well, and security. So we've employed a lot of people in Liberia as well. So we are giving jobs to Liberians to I
gotta hit the air horn for that. Yeah. Hit the applause, because employing people is one of the main goals I have. One of the main goals I have for Susu, and it's like it's a byproduct. That wasn't even your main goal. You was trying to get to the kids, and you gave these opportunity to the kids, and now you're providing opportunity to adults that are also looking for opportunities as well, because opportunities are hard to come by in Liberia, but you're providing them. And as you continue to grow, it's like, oh, I got more jobs. You spoke about you hired 2 people at first, and it wasn't even hired. It was just like, hey, my man, can you do this for me? Let's be in it. It's kind of like a verbal agreement. But now you got a whole crew of people on the payroll that they eating, and they can provide for their families because they're down with NationOne.
Absolutely.
So that's dope. But anyway, continue. I'm sorry. I'm gonna stop interrupting.
No, you're good, bro, because you know what's going on. But yeah, so providing those opportunities for those folks, man, is incredible. For me, to be honest with you, because it's like it's also trying to give back. Yeah. And then these kids, they really, really do take care of these kids. Our employees are some of the best folks in Liberia, and actually as we expand, we tend to keep them, because they are committed so much of their time and effort to propel the foundation through their works. So we tend to continue doing that. But it was an incredible trip, man. Just seeing the kids again. Yeah. It's been almost a year I've been seeing them. So seeing the kids for last month, for me it was great. No one knew I was coming.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't tell no one. I told you that. I told you I wasn't gonna tell no one, but I remember I just showed up at practice. Yeah. Everyone was like, "Oh man, CEO is here." So they called me CEO. I don't know why they called me CEO.
Because you the boss, man. You the CEO. Man.
Yeah, they call me Mr. Octawie or Mr. Ta, or but they call me in I don't know. It's a training tool what they get in Liberia as well. But so everyone was shocked. Yeah. Saw me, I took the back row, walked in. Everyone was like, that kind of motivated them more. Yeah. I feel like, whenever that I'm there and wherever we take guests in Liberia, they are so much motivated to be great people, to do the best they possibly can to be great, because at the end of the day,
to show off what they've learned.
Absolutely. It's just about opportunities. And if great people are coming and talking to them and trying to empower them, though, it allows you to understand a sense of belonging, and it allows you to understand the importance of opportunity, and you learn from these kids as well. I learned so much from them when I'm in Liberia, as much as they learn from me, I learn from them too as well. And I always try to talk with them and see how they're doing, how their family's doing, how they're doing in school. So I ask all these questions individually to understand what their minds are, because if they do get an opportunity to come here, we want to make sure they are ready mentally to for the challenge that lies ahead.
Yeah,
But it was an incredible trip this time. Went back there, we was able to take 2 vans. So now,
what do you mean? What do you wait? What do you mean?
Man,
what do you mean? Take 2 vans?
So it's crazy because one of the struggle we've had in Liberia is we have too many kids.
Okay,
but we only had a van. We only had 1 van that was in Liberia, and it wasn't. We have almost like 30 people within 1 van.
Okay.
So that was a struggle.
13 passenger van with
13
30
passenger
people.
13 passenger van
with 30 passengers.
People, yeah. So you have people doubling up and all that.
Yeah.
So but this time around, it was a blessing to send 2 vans. So when we got there,
so you bought 2 vans here.
We got 2 van from the US. Mm-hmm. And we felt that it was right to do a little bit more to kind of give back, because we knew the struggle was just the transportation wise.
Yeah.
So now with 30 plus kids, 30 kids cannot fit in 1 van. No. And that's the struggle that was going through before, making 2 trips sometimes. So now we have, like 15-seater van, 2 of them.
So now y'all have a total of 3 vans or 2?
No, we have a total of 3 vans
so
now.
You had 1 van.
Absolutely.
On this trip, you took 2 vans with you. So now your academy has 3 vans.
3 vans.
And academies in Liberia, they usually have how many vans?
Man, I don't even think Academy have any vans in Liberia.
I don't even think some of the pro teams have vans in Liberia. Right? And you got the academy with 3 vans.
3 vans. And
wow.
And it's been such an incredible thing though, because there was a massive need for a van because we had number have increased. But then the issue was transportation now. Now we're making like 2 trips, multiple trips sometimes going for practices. So now with the 2 vans, it helps a whole lot now. With 3 vans, with the with the 2 we took and plus the 1 that we already have. Now we can go up to 50 people if we want, if we choose to, right? Yeah. But it's such an incredible thing to know that we have multiple transportation in Liberia to kind of take these kids from back and forth to practice, games, and back to school.
I think, and we're gonna get back to your we're gonna get back to your trip in a second. Actually, I'm about to pause it right now because I need to change the battery on that camera. So one thing that I really admire about NationOne is that, so most times in Africa, people rape Africa. People come and just get raw resources from Africa and then make other stuff. Like chocolate is one of the biggest things in the world, and Liberia has a bunch of, not Liberia, Africa has a bunch of cocoa, which is the raw material. Why don't we have the biggest chocolate companies in the world, And then Starbucks is, big coffee company. Africa has, all the coffee beans and stuff like that. Why don't we have the biggest coffee company in the world? And even the athletes, like, we have the raw talent, we have the raw minerals to create stuff, but then we export that stuff and create it, or it's created elsewhere instead of creating it on our homeland. So some people could say with what you're doing and with your pathway program, you're exporting, which you are, but that's not the main part of NationOne Academy. Mm-hmm. You're super focused on building something amazing in Liberia.
Absolutely.
And making sure that, Milton is at, Berkshire, which is one of the best schools in America, but I want him to get the same education as the kids in Liberia are getting, because, and they're just getting it here, So it's like you're still creating opportunities in Liberia and building up the kids that are staying in Liberia aren't getting a worse opportunity than the kids that go abroad. Absolutely. They actually might have it better because they have such a great community you've built around them that they wouldn't have, just in a normal experience. So that's one thing that I really admire about NationOne, is that you're not just exporting the talent, you're actually cultivating a new system and a new paradigm in Liberia to where this greatness can be expected in Liberia. You don't have to leave Liberia to achieve your greatness, you know? So hearing about, you got the house where all the kids are living, which I've been blessed to go and visit that and seeing all the bunk beds. And, you know, you got the 3 vans that are transporting the kids to and from practice and stuff like that. Like that's major in Liberia. So it's not just like, oh, I'm just finding kids off the street and I'm sending them across, because that happens a lot in Africa, which is which is why I set up this platform, and I want to talk to a lot of these guys that have gone abroad, because when you hear the stories of these people that have gone abroad, a lot of them have gotten exploited.
Absolutely.
Because soccer is a big money business. So it's like, oh, well, I see you're talented. I'm going to see how much money I can get for you over here. And that's not at all what you're doing. You know, you actually care about these kids' lives. And like, you know, NationOne is new and you started off pretty young. So we don't have any kids right now that are like 18, 19 and have reached like college age and stuff like that. But it's going to be exciting to see when your group of kids are like 20 and it's like, what all are they going to do? Some are going to go to college. Some are going to play pro. Some are going to do this. Some are going to open businesses. Some are, like, it's going to be exciting to see, because they have a foundation that a lot of generations in Liberia have never had before, to say, I've got 10 years of like this high quality education and high quality training. That's next level for sure. But
no, you're right. You're right. I think it's important too, because what we're trying, like we trying, the story that we're looking to the story that we trying to put out there in Liberia is that you don't have to get out of Liberia to be great. Yeah. You know, even some of our kids, it's like the experience that they're getting at the academy, though, that, you know, wherever they go, they can take that with them. Yeah.
And the goal is to come back, too. That's another thing we're teaching. If you go out and get all this knowledge, bring it back.
Absolutely. And that's what we emphasize that a whole lot. Even the kids that made it through the pathway program, because it's a two-way thing. The school have to be willing to understand their capacity of education to have them, you know, to kind of provide a scholarship for them, and they also had to be a great soccer player too. But education is the most important part of it. Yeah. But I mean, the experience though is in Liberia, because these kids it's a bond that they form in Liberia at a facility where, you know, like they are brothers. So wherever they go, you know, they have that relationship already built, and even the kids that are here, they're in communication with the kids over there as well. Yeah. So the experience is in Liberia. It's like, you know, okay, you can go to school with NationOne Academy. You can go to school, have a great education through NationOne Academy, and still be able to do great things in Liberia. Yeah. And most of the kids who do leave Liberia and come here, they are going back home to do something for Liberia and to help empower the country. Work in different sectors, or do something that's gonna help them propel the economy, or help improve Liberia in so many ways. So you don't have to come to the U.S. to have the opportunity to be great in Liberia. You can also be in Liberia and understand, if I focus, if I work hard, if I'm determined and persevere my effort and keep working on it, I can be great. Yeah. Even in Liberia, there's so many people that have, you know, so many lawyers and doctors who became successful in Liberia. Yeah. So you don't have to come out sometimes to be, all right, when I come out, I'm going to be this, you know, I'm going to be this big. You can start in your country and just know why you're doing it. Yeah.
All right. So this trip, you took 2 vans, which was amazing. Yeah. Tell me what else went down on this trip. Man, I'm so mad I didn't get to go with you.
I know, anyway, man. Continue. I know, but we go this year, though. I'll tell you that.
For sure.
But no, it was good, man. Going back home, man, it was, you know, after it's been a year or so, went back home, saw the kids, and you know, and it's crazy because in Liberia now, the LFA, Liberia Football Federation, is up there doing an incredible job. Yeah. I
mean, shout out to FA, because they're definitely making moves out there. Yeah. I've actually noticed it, and I'm really happy with the progress that's being made. But anyway, go ahead.
You know, the president himself is doing an incredible job. You know, the Liberia Football Federation. You know, I think he is the president. He's doing an incredible. Mustafa Raji. He's an incredible person. I think
shout out to
he's
Mr.
doing
Raji.
great. Yeah, he's doing an incredible job within that sector, within football and academy and things like that.
Yeah.
So they I think they have
Youth football, girls
youth
football.
Oh my
They're
God,
really really on it, man.
They are really on the map now. Doing great things. Now they have U16s, you have 18s, the coaches, the girls, the female teams having the opportunity to travel out the country and play against some of the great Africans country as well. So for me, I think it's an incredible thing that now football is getting big in Liberia, which it create a platform of just telling your story, and that's how people play soccer, just telling the story, telling the passion they have for the game. It's just it's always they feel comfortable, and that's what it is. For soccer, when you play, you gotta feel comfortable and you gotta be confident. And I feel like sometimes it's an opportunity to play a sport, and now it's getting bigger in Liberia. So that's Mustafa Raji is doing an incredible job as it relates to soccer in Liberia.
Yeah. So what else did you get to do? You popped up on practice.
Popped up on practice. Met the kids. They were all excited. We talked, and then we went back to the house. Went back to our facility where we had a little meeting, and just I spoke with these kids. I took a whole month to kind of try and empower them, talk with them, let them know the expectation for the 2021 year, and what their expectation were as it relates to school, as it relates to soccer, and talk to them, trying to empower them, mentor them a lot of ways. They have opportunity to ask me a few questions. And so, I mean, like I always do when I go back Liberia, and I know now, this year what they were trying to do in the Liberia Football Federation now, they are trying to vet soccer academies now. They want to, there's a certain criteria that you have to fall under, to be considered a legitimate of academy. If you go, it's there's different levels. So they came at our location, they came at our facility, checked it out, and I mean, we did great.
Of course.
From my knowledge, and they check out our soccer field, to see our van, to see what our kids are doing. They're in school. They understand, and they do diligence as far as who we are, and I'm pretty sure they did that for almost every academy in Liberia. But there's not too many academies going to be considered, because just based off that certain criteria you gotta have to be under what they do consider to be an academy in Liberia. So so I mean, and it was just incredible being back home, and the kids themselves was, for me, is always, we have more kids now. We have we opened our home to at least 4 more kids. Now that we touch now almost 10 different counties in Liberia, representing kids from all those 10 counties. There's more counties, but for now we only have 10 counties represented at the academy, which is, I think that's a wonderful thing.
That's a lot.
There's so much more we're looking to do we'll soon start doing our groundbreaking.
So let's get to that, because I just told you off air that this is one of my goals for Susu is, to create this content and keep pushing Africa Abroad, to interview more players and share the story of African athletes and their journeys, and, just learning from their experiences and sharing that to the world, so I can continue to shed light on people that need it, and give opportunities to more, so we can, get going to what the next step is. So I want, let's say short term, the next 2 years, what are some of your short term goals for NationOne Academy, and where do you see NationOne Academy going in the next 2 years? And then I'll share some of my goals for the next 2 years. And we got it recorded, so we got to stick with it.
We have some sort of evidence,
exactly,
form of realizing what we've said. My short term goal is just to, right now, this year, continue to strengthen our team in Liberia, and have at least 3 more kids that would have the opportunity to come here for schooling 2021. With things that's easy down a little bit as it relates to COVID. I mean, there's much more leverage that I feel a lot of these boarding school has, and they're looking to give out as well. So I mean, just to strengthen our core, legitify NationOne in Liberia as it relates to what we are doing in Liberia as it relates to just being looked at as a soccer academy, which we are now.
Yeah.
It's not just I'm just grabbing random kids from the streets. We are actually recruiting these kids, and these kids are living out at our facility for years before they even think about coming here or so.
Yeah.
So that's the short-term goal. Just to strengthen our team. Our key component is continuing to invest in our workers, and also just to make sure our kids are ready, physically and also mentally, though, with the opportunity given to them. Because that's our short-term goal, and that's what we're implying right now. Our long-term goal within a year or two, we want to start our groundbreaking of building our academy in Liberia, which entails of so much investment and as it relates to that. So I think now we have
a legit campus type.
Yeah, okay. Because usually our academy, a soccer academy, though, as you look at the different academy in the world, it's just a school face to it. There's always they have classes. The kids live at the facility. And we don't have to transport them from school back there.
It's a one-stop shop.
So it's a one-stop shop. Yeah,
school and living all in
everything that is there. I think at this point we've done so much in Liberia, and we've provide so much opportunity now. But now we're looking at multitudes of more kids at a time, helping almost 80 or 90 kids at a time instead of just helping 30 or 35, so that's what we're looking at right now. And the long-term goal is just, as I said, just to build. So we by 2021, the end of 2021, 2022, we're trying to do our groundbreaking as far as building something stable in Liberia for the academy.
Okay. Yeah, that's dope. And I know that's definitely going to happen. And we got to record it, and we're going to listen back to it every day whenever we need motivation to keep it moving.
Man, but I'm eager to kind of find out what's Susu.
I was just about to say, man, Susu, man. It's been a roller coaster ride since I decided I wanted to start this thing, and everything always changes up and down. I wanted to do this, I wanted to do that, but I'm feeling good about this thing right here. And it's funny that you tell the story about how you started NationOne. You saw something that needed to happen, and you started it right there in that moment. So I really want to stay consistent with this podcast for the next year, at least one episode per week, no breaks, putting that out to kind of build up the foundation, the base level of what Susu is. But my goal that I have, and I'm gonna put this on for this year.
You have to.
I want to buy land in Liberia, at least like 10 acres, just to kind of hold for like what the future plan is. But I gotta put my first Susu soccer field in Liberia, because that's going to be the Susu training center. That's going to be multiple pitches, and it's going to be a community center. It's going to be a private field that's run by Susu, but whatever community it's in, it belongs to the community.
Absolutely.
So all of these kids, like you said, that just play just whatever with no coach, all right, you can come and play here on a nice pitch. And maybe I'll have some coaches there that can just, maybe it's not super formal or official, but it's like, hey, I can give you tips. I can give you training. We'll have, Susu with the clothes. We'll have apparel there for you to play. So, okay, this jerseys for y'all to just run pickup games, run clinics and stuff like that. I want that to be the headquarters in Liberia, is this first field. And, it's like I was talking about earlier, where you say, oh, I want to have this huge training facility, and it's got 10 pitches, and it's got a library, and it's got a media center. That's the end goal. But that doesn't mean I shouldn't do small things before I get to that. So I had to chop it up, because that is the end goal. But the first main goal that I'd like to do for this year is put a turf pitch in Liberia. That belongs to the community. So that's that's been my goal for like 2 years, 2-3 years now. But I gotta make it happen. I can't just keep on another year passed. It didn't happen. Maybe it'll happen this year. Like, no, it has to happen. and I'm going to make it happen.
I think that your mind's in the right place, man. I think sometimes, you know, we are very hard on ourselves sometimes as it relates to our goals. You know, I don't think you can ever wait until something good happen before you start something. Like, I think you have to start from once there's a niche, you have to start from that point on. You have to realize, and you keep building on.
Absolutely.
And you can always add to it. You know what I'm saying? As well, once Susu is built, you can always add layers.
And that's the part that I don't get sometimes, because it's like people talk about, you know, it took me 12 years to be an overnight celebrity. And it's like these people that they say, oh, they blew up overnight. And it's like, no, you just became aware of them overnight. Sure. You didn't see the grind that they went through for 10, 15, 20 years to get to becoming an overnight celebrity. And I know it's just human nature, but you see, especially in the era of Instagram and social media, you see other people's stories. And just because that's your first time seeing the story in your mind and in your universe, that's the beginning. But that's not the beginning. You know, they grinded and they went through whatever they went through beforehand. Maybe they weren't publicizing it. Maybe they were ashamed of it. Maybe they weren't putting it out there for the world to see, but it's still something that they had to go through, you know? So I feel like we all just have to pick a good starting point and make it happen. You know, I've worked with you for 3 or 4 years. I didn't know that's how NationOne started. You feel me? And it's like, wow, had I known that, maybe I would have felt more confident about the way I would start, because you didn't start with I got 3 vans and I got a house and I got 30 kids and from representing 10 counties and I got 8 kids abroad. It's like, no, I started with a group of kids that, you know, needed some organization to their team. So I organized them. That's such humble beginnings, and everything has to start like that. It has to. You can't skip steps. As much as you want to skip steps, you can't. So, and I always try to skip steps, and I'm like, nah, I can't skip steps. You know, I'm over here calculating budgets of like, okay, for what I want to build, it's gonna be $5 million. I bet. How can I get $5 million? It's like, that's not real, bro. Like, you trying to figure out how to get $5 million. Why not figure out how to get 100,000 first? Yes. And then do something good with that 100,000. And now the machine's running, because guess what? When I get a field in Liberia, now I can create more content. This is the beginning of the content, because we're in my house right now. And this is the low hanging fruit that I can grab. But when there's a field that I own, now I'm creating all these different, you know, content that we've always been talking about, video, and put that out there. And now there's more tools to even grow even more. And now that's when it really starts coming, where you can really build it up, you know. But you got to start from somewhere. You got to start from ground zero.
You have to. And I think that's one, for me though, Kodo, is like, that is one of the most important thing anyone can do. A dream is never, it doesn't come together. A dream is like a walking stride, right? You create it as you walk along. So I never imagined, for me, like, okay, I'm just gonna build NationOne. No, I have to persevere. I have to be consistent. I have to keep working. Well, I mean, and I just have to understand the why behind what I'm doing this. And that sometimes, that if you don't want to do that though, that kind of that enables you to know why I have to get up and do it, because you know there's a why. And I feel like, you know, the facility though, Susu, and I know you can do this. It's not something that, you know, like we've always talked about. It's not something that we're doing right now. We're talking about this on your podcast now, but it's something that I've always told you, like, you know what I mean? You don't have to wait. You know what I'm saying? You understand the niche already. You don't have to wait to get any validation. You don't have to wait for anything. Start it off however. Get the land. That's the first thing. Now, what are you going to do with it? Now, you try and get the turf. Get a turf.
Exactly.
Get multiple grass fields.
It might be the land, and it's just a dirt pitch for the moment.
For sure.
Get the land first, and then it's like, okay, but it's still a spot for people to come and play and get you. I see. I didn't even think about that until you literally just said it. I'm thinking, all right, get the land, build the pitch, but like, get the land first. So now, instead of going from, I need $5 million to build this facility, and then going to, I need 100,000 to build a field. Now it's down to like, I need $20,000 to buy 10 acres in Liberia, you know, and that's the progression. Those are the steps, you know.
And then the thing about it too, again, this land though, it's like, you don't have to put everything up. It's like you have to pay on it as well every year. And if you have it, that's perfect.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's a great location that you can get as well. But I don't think, always start it, you know what I'm saying? And then it doesn't matter how the circumstance it is, but you start something and you just keep implementing. It's like when you try and build a facility, right? You build the first layer of it, the first part of it, and then you keep adding on to it. And I feel like, and that's the case, because you can always add on to Susu.
Yeah.
You can always add something on to what you just built. And you just keep adding on until before you look, within 1 year, your eyes are turning like, oh my God. Because that's how it feels, man. It feels like you might take 20 years to do something, but after it's done, it's like 1 year.
Yeah.
Or you might take 5 years to do something or 10 years to do something. After it is complete, it's like 1 year that you took to do all that. And you sitting there like reminiscing, oh man, I can't believe I'm here. You know what I mean? Though, because time goes by so fast.
Absolutely.
That before you even with a twinkle of an eye, it's like I'm already here already. So I always believe that you gotta start something. It doesn't matter how it looks. Start it and then know why.
And it's really like, especially about what you're talking about, it's like your end goal is just a moment. Mm-hmm. It's one moment, like you said, boom, it happened. I got here and now it's over. What next? The real joy is in the journey,
absolutely,
in the process that it took to get there. And you hear about that all the time. And I always have to remind myself of that, because you get so caught up in, that's my goal, that's my dream, I'm gonna get there when I get there. But like, you gonna miss all of the good part trying to get to the end, and then you get there and you're like, all right, what now? I made it to the top of the mountain. What should I go back down? Do I just, now I got to find the next mountain to climb, you know? And it's like, but you ignoring all of the fun parts of climbing the mountain to get to the top. Getting to the top isn't the fun part. The action of getting there is the fun. The actual top is not, you know? Yeah, man, this is a great conversation, bro. I'm glad we had this. We're gonna continue this offline, just because I haven't talked to you in a minute. But I like to like I've been doing this, but it's cool. I like to end each episode shouting out somebody in the African football community, more so on the media side, different entities, pages and stuff like that. So for this being the first episode, I gotta shout out my brother Gustavus Carpe.
Yes,
Liberian Players Outside is the Facebook page, the Instagram page. I met Gustavus around the same time I met you. A young kid. He was in high school. He's like 19.
Committed guy, man.
He built up this platform called Liberian Players Outside, where he's highlighting different Liberian athletes that are playing around the world. He's kind of the inspiration for the show. But he did all of this from a smartphone, no computer. He had to go to random cafes to get internet access, you know, and still in high school and pursuing his high school diploma at the time. He's graduated now. But the Liberian national team was bringing him in to scout players, because he was finding players in Belgium and in Denmark. Like, hey, this player, his mom is Liberian. His you know, he has eligibility for Liberia. So he did all of that in Liberia with no internet, with just a cell phone. And I think he's sitting at like 15,000 followers now on Instagram, probably like 20,000 on Facebook. And he's got a lot of good ideas and content that's coming out this year that I'm helping him with. And he's one of my guys that I've definitely taken under my wing and like, yo, you've got to succeed. If it kills me, and I'm going to help you and help that you get there. So shout out to Gustavus Carpe, Liberian Players Outside. Make sure you're going to follow Liberian Players Outside. Also, I think at the end of the podcast, I'm supposed to say like and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube.
Please like, subscribe, share, do everything. Come on.
If you're listening to this audio podcast, I think you're supposed to leave comments on the podcast or review it, rate it, whatever you're supposed to do to make this thing pop. Make it pop, because this isn't just the media. There's a lot of things that are behind it. A lot of opportunities that are going to come from it. And this is just the beginning. I'm not going to share y'all the whole playbook of what Susu has in store, but is going to be the African Nike. That's all I'm saying. That's
all I got to say. It happen.
So, Octawie, thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your stories with me. You are a fascinating individual.
Yes, sir.
And I see why you're an actor, bro. You got a gift of gab. I got these headphones on, bro. You radio ready already.
Man.
So that's
cool. You know what's crazy? That shit is, man. Everyone that knows about what I do in Liberia don't know nothing about my acting, right? So
they just think you just out here popping. But we gonna put it out there too, because maybe that's something that they need to know. Not like they need to know, but like it needs to be put out into the universe, and you can really step into that because you fully have stepped into the philanthropy role. You fully have stepped into the CEO, President, Octawie, NationOne role. Shoot, step on into that acting role fully with both of you, which you have been doing. We're not gonna put that out there yet because you know Hollywood, you gotta keep stuff quiet that you're working on. But man, this is a big year. It's only big things popping, man, and you got some real positive energy exuding from you. I felt it when you walked in the door because I hadn't seen you in 2021.
Absolutely,
this was I keep saying this is the first episode, even though this probably isn't the first one I'm gonna put out. But
first one.
It's another episode.
This is another episode.
This is a wrap. And I'm gonna figure out a cool outro to say, but for that I'm gonna just leave with the drops.
Africa abroad.
Africa abroad.